went as peaceful.
Ballot paper, which was given to him, and after it was done voting, he wrapped everything together, which I was looking at. Lo and behold, it is apparated vote, number of votes.
Lots of issues developing in Oyo State governorship and state assembly election, and I still have with me the State Commissioner of Police, Shina Olukolu, who is telling us more about the development. Now that we have seen what has happened, and we are now saying that we're looking forward to the collation of results and equally to arrest of the culprits involved in Olatoye Sugar's murder. What is your message to the family and the people of Oyo State?
So the family of the deceased, I want to say that it was a big loss, and we promise, and that is our pledge, that the suspects, the fleeing suspects, will be arrested, no matter how long it takes.
CP, there are these allegations that security officials are actually part of those perpetrating some of this ballot box snatching and also electoral violence, to an extent that they also allege that
there are 6 witnesses. If anyone
is the presidential election and equally to the last governor, now is your message to them now that everybody's attention is at the collation center?
They should just remind our...
I think, after all, we can do something so that the investigation. Because the need there that has predominance of violence when it comes to this. So it is not an area that we should allow chances. It should not an area. It should be an area that should be security watertight. For example, like my learned SAN said, there is nothing wrong in even inviting the military or other members of the armed forces. Section 217 to 220 has adequately given provision for that, owing to the inadequacy of the police personnel. We know very well. There are just about 400,000 police personnel. 400,000, half of them have already been deployed as orderlies of Mr. Somebody's. The remaining half of them equally have already been deployed to safeguard sensitive installations, ambassadorial missions, banks, important governmental agencies, CBNs, and the rest. So the remaining, that is just about 100,000.
But for the election matters, they have been assisted by the civil defense and other agencies.
That is what I'm saying in complementary with what the learner said, that there is nothing that shouldn't be done, whether it is asking the military to come on board, we should do it. If you leave it with the INEC, for example, by virtue of Section 150 of the electoral, where do they have even the decision to go and prosecute for the left if you leave it? When they too, they are supposed to be parties to any litigation. So we should streamline our decision. What should come on board now is national interest. We need coordination of all the architecture of the security. Every hand should be on deck. Whether you are a civil defense corps, whether you are a plain DSS, whether you are the one carrying arm, whatever you are, we should do all we can within the bounds of our power to be able to contain sanity and peaceful coexistence in the nation. That is what we need more than anything. We have gotten election now successfully conducted. All we want now is just the remaining hours when we get released results, formally announced, then later when you get certificates of return, then preparations for swearing in. Then we should not allow any person to reverse us back to uncivilized point.
Uncivilized point, Ibrahim Modibo. As a politician, this is your turf. I mean, it appears the threat that anyone who would snatch a ballot box will do that at the expense of his life did not some people just didn't take heed to that, really.
Yes. You see, the most saddening thing is that some of these security forces have failed to implement what Mr. President has directed. Because if example were to be set, I did not say that they should kill anybody, but if they shoot the leg and maybe maim you, tomorrow if you are walking with a stick and you are just, going gaga like this, you know yourself that next election you will not do it. But in a situation where people will snatch ballot boxes with impunity. They will go and render result, and the result will count. It shows a clear departure from the dictates or from the instruction of Mr. President. Although you see, when he made that assertion, some people have taken it to an Olympian height that Mr. President said they should kill people or they should kill opposition. As if this directive is meant for PDP or for any other opposition. This directive is meant for everybody, including the APC. But these people have taken it to Olympian height. They have been shouting left, right, and center. They have even reported to United Nations, to everywhere, Paris, US, and everywhere, that the president said they should shoot ballot box snatchers. If you are not a ballot box snatcher, why must you complain? And is ballot box snatching part of democracy, part of the tenets all over the globe? So if you know that tomorrow, you see, the issue of all this ballot snatching, look at this issue of killing is not only limited to Oyo, because the Oyo's case is because a legislator is involved, a person of this is involved. Look at what happened in Taraba. During that presidential election, do you know, some people went on campaign district to around Karolamido area. While they were coming back to Jalingo, they were ambushed. About 7 or 10 people were killed in their car. They were brought out and killed. But it has not attracted national attention because it's from a remote area. Must we continue like this? Why are the security forces? Me, I've not, since this election started, I've not even seen the soldiers, you know, very close to this thing because of this international outcry. They say, soldiers have been drafted and it has been militarized. So if you know that you are not a ballot box snatcher, why must you cry? For us to have a very fundamental democratic setup, the military should assist the police. Because, as you said, about 400,000 police people will not be able to, marshal 200 million Nigerians. Look at the remote areas. They cannot. Therefore, the military, civil defense, immigration, and this thing should be assisted. And honestly and sincerely, if this elections has already gone, but I do not subscribe to a point where the police will only be given sticks to hold. Everywhere in the world, police, everywhere they are holding weapons. Go to US, go to anywhere you see police is adequately prepared. Because his life is also in danger. In that event in Ibadan, if, for instance, that police that is holding this colonial stick that we used to use it during the Lugard period, he's still holding stick in this modern day period, and these people came with a gun and shot, can that policeman as an individual, even if they are 2 or 10, can they go and start arresting those boys? So, while I commend the Leonard Silk for saying that the police commissioner, in his wisdom, has been very, very articulate in that he did not link it to political district. But there's a need for serious investigation. Let them investigate to find the remote and immediate causes of this crisis, of this problem. Because a stitch in time saves 9. And in our own democracy, we should not make it a do or die affair. The days of election rigging, the days of this thing should be over. By now, we are supposed to accept everything in good faith. Losing and winning, they are all part of democratic culture. It's either you lose or you win. Among the two, you get it. So that's what you should expect. But in the circumstances where you think, because you've seen a threat, you eliminate somebody's life because of worldly things, for God's sake, why is our conscience?
Madam Minister wants to chip in an issue on, still on the ballot box?
Yes. The directive the president gave, that is what is expected of an astute leader. By Section 130 of the Constitution, he is the Chief Executive Officer of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So he should be the one to really show be the pathfinder. And you see, this issue of ballot box snatching, it is something that can go, you are just seeing it from the ordinary look of ballot box. For example, the person to snatch the ballot box will come in convoy with some criminals, will come in convoy with some thugs. That violates Section 81 of the Electoral Act, thuggery, and will come with guns. The penalty of possessing gun illegally itself, not even using it, is another thing. Terrorizing the people because you can he has to scare everybody before snatching the box. That one, Section 2.1 of the Anti-Terrorism Act comes into play. It's an act of terrorism. Depending on its magnitude, it can even lead to attract penalty of death. Now, he now picks the box, run away. In the process, he crushed down a pregnant woman that was allowed to deliver, killing the woman, killing the baby inside. Case of double murder. Police are saying, and INEC are saying, stop. He is running away, disrespecting the authorities, contrary to sections 23, 24 of the Constitution. So, by the time you culminate the numerity of all these offenses, all these criminalities, the minute beginning of which is the intention to snatch ballot box, of which you get the combination of the consequences of the actions. Even if you now kill the person, you have not done justice to the consequence he has. So some actions warrant even more than killing. So I'm saying this to support the position of the president regarding it to serve as a deterrent. But most fundamentally, we should see penalties inflicted on criminals as a point of deterrence. Otherwise, if we continue with this culture of it's a political something that is all at the altar of political exigencies, you deliberately decide not to prosecute the culprits, or you allow some of the friends of my SAN, the attorney generals, to be applying not only prosecute in order to subvert justice, just at the balance of political convenience, then God will now have to.
So the attorney generals are not your friends, even though you're a barrister.
I am a barrister, but a barrister with small L. When you have a learned silk,
no way.
No. I cannot raise my head.
No.
So it will be nice now for us to turn away from the issues of ballot box snatching, the issues of this killing, even though going by what the learned silk said, investigation, we believe, should have started now.
Let the investigation not unnecessarily be delayed. Justice delayed is justice denied.
Exactly, and let the culprits be brought to book.
Yes.
We believe that's what the police command in Oyo State is doing right now.
But I have an idea. I have something.
To add.
Yes.
Okay, then.
You see, I quite agree with both of them and your analysis and what you have prescribed. But I think we need to look beyond just apprehending the culprits and then punishing them. We are treating the effects. What are the causes? I think the major cause of this problem is an over-monetized electoral system. Apart from being over-monetized, then, the concept of what is our concept of public office is seen as the only source of getting there quickly to make money.
Yes.
I think if the public offices become less attractive, all these criminal
public offices for public service.
For public service, and not for... And how do we get there? For example, the presidential system of government, which we are running, should be seriously tinkered with. Do we really need it?
It's very expensive.
A situation where a governor or somebody aspiring to be a governor will spend close to almost 5 billion.
Yes.
So if you are spending or you are putting out about 5 billion or 10 billion to contest for an office, won't you kill together, having regard to the amount of money involved? But if it is just a parliamentary system and everybody will just go into parliament, when you get there and then, I mean, why will you be... I'm not saying there may be no killing in a parliamentary system, but...
In fact, there was in the First Republic.
Yes, but the rate, when the public office becomes less attractive, when it is not over-monetized, because who are those giving them these guns, assuming it's political? Who is buying the guns? And when you look at the amount of money involved, the stake is too high. Hence, life means nothing to them. So long as we leave those causes unattended, we may be in for a long time battling the effects.
So, Malan Raji, you are one of the advocates now for Nigeria to go back to the parliamentary system.
That is, it may be in a modified way, but just to make sure, I've given you an example. An average person looking for office of a governor in this country today needs between 5 to 10 billion, depending on the size of the state. And
Naira or dollars?
Well, maybe Naira. Let me put it like that.
Whatever equivalent.
Because as a learned Sikh, it depends on the denomination.
No. You need about they went to a senior lawyer. They asked him to come and contest, and he asked them how much will this enterprise cost, and they told him one of the very low states. He said between 3 and 4 billion. He said, look, how when I put this amount of money there, how will I get my money back? They say, one contract only, you get your money back. That is to show the mindset. And then he said, look, if I have 3-4 billion, what do I need public office for? I sit in my home, plan my life, and then I live my life. Why should I go in there? But somebody who can take about 10 billion, and then you put it chasing to become a governor or what have you. I mean,
so let me ask you, in what way will the parliamentary system reduce the cost compared to the presidential system? In what way? Because someone would still want to seek the position of governorship.
No, that would be...
If you tell me the parliamentary system will reduce the number of legislators that we have, because you will not have a separate minister, first and foremost, you must win a seat in parliament to be a minister. I will agree. No, but this is the position of governor you are given.
No, because there will be no elected governor again under a parliamentary system. All of you will be elected into the parliament, then a leader will emerge from among the parliamentarians. All of them, they will be elected into the parliament. Sardauna never stood for any general election in northern region as it was. Awolowo never. Zig never.
He only stood for his constituency.
His constituency. Yes. Balewa never. He stood from Bauchi and he came into the federal parliament. And then he became the prime minister. So there won't be anything like somebody presidential campaign council, presidential something council, raising billions and billions of money and what have you. So the same thing ditto for governorship. And then the elections will just be once. There won't be presidential today, governorship tomorrow. Parliamentary election, everything can be done in a day, and then it will be a simple process, and we'll stop wasting money.
We'll come back to these issues. Ibrahim is inching to also make a comment, but let's quickly go to Abeokuta to get updates on coalition that is going on. Well, we lost them. We'll go back to them. Ibrahim, over to you.
Yes. What I want to ask, there are fundamental questions to ask. One, why is the presidential system working in other places, other climes, and we having problems in Nigeria? Why? Then secondly, I'm coming. I'm asking, this is just a rhetorical question.
There are legal luminaries to answer your question.
Yes, it's even a rhetorical question. Then two, if we look at the issue of the parliament, we've tested it before. So if we say they were going back to the parliament,
you mean parliamentary system?
Parliamentary system. What happens to the civil servants that we have in all the states of the federation? What happens to, the architecture we build, especially the states, and the components? You see, my problem, my worry here is democracy, there's nothing bad, there's nothing wrong with presidential system. There's nothing wrong. But the modus operandi, the way it is operated, especially here in Nigeria, is what caused to question this issue. Because if you look at, I was an apostle before the Leonard Silk came in. I said the expenses in terms of running a presidential system is just too much, especially the National Assembly. People have been spending so much, you contest for this thing, and then you are looking, a lot of people look up to elections because they want to line their pockets, not necessarily to serve. But that is not the essence of democracy. In some other climes, you will find people, they will even go and beg them, come and serve. They don't even have one kobo. But because of credibility, because of their intellectual capacity, and also because of the sincerity of purpose and what they've contributed to society, people will come and form themselves into groups and then donate.
And beg them to serve.
But here, anyone that goes, people are just in a hurry to go and steal money to go into elections. Once they grab power, because they know, like the governorship, the security vote, and that security vote is not accountable to anybody. It's only God. You get whatever you want to get, you amass whatever wealth you want to amass from there. You can do whatever you want to do with it. Nobody will ask you for accountability. That is why that's the departure. So if we're going to get that, to me, I don't think anything is wrong with the presidential system, but the modus operandi, the way we spend monies, and if you look at the current economy, it's not good for us. We cannot continue all these bogus salaries that we're paying the senator. We cannot. One payment of salary, one day they'll carry Ghana must go about 13.something million. So you cannot continue like that because the economy is not good for that. There's no way in the world.
You don't want presidential system to change, but you are talking about the
demerits,
amount of money.
The demerits.
So the issue is
because under a parliamentary system,
exactly.
when the prime minister sits in the parliament, they all look at it together.
And he only earns his money as a parliamentarian.
As a parliamentarian. So this bogus money, and then the security vote you are talking about.
Yes.
You are now going back to
No. What I'm saying,
the security vote you are talking about, it is almost alien in the parliamentary system.
Yes.
And it is the presidential system. We lack the moral fiber to implement it.
Yes.
We lack what it takes to implement it.
Yes.
Why we may be lucky with the president that we have. Look at the 36 governors. Look at what is happening in several states. There's no point mentioning any state, but look at what is happening. It's either themselves and their wives.
Yes.
Themselves and their wives. And then look at the extent we have gone so bad that a governor was trying to impose his own son-in-law as a successor. Is that possible under parliamentary?
No. It's not possible.
Okay, then what are we talking about? In the Western region, when Chief Awolowo of blessed memory was going to the national parliament, and there was going to be a successor to him, naturally he didn't want Chief Akintola. He preferred Akindeko. But they said, no, that cannot be. In the hierarchy in the parliament, Akintola was the next. So he had no choice. But today, not only will the governor bring whoever he wants, I mean, they just like a sheikh and the czars. I mean,
like one governor was saying that when people are asking him, you know, in your state, you are not even paying salaries, you don't do anything. The civil servants are suffering. Yet, you are chartering private jet every time to Abuja. He said, is the state not even lucky that he's chartering private jet? As if he is going to buy Boeing 747
God bless you. Now,
by himself.
If it's a parliamentary system, he has to be in the parliament every week. Why will he be junketing all over the place? They will remove him, and a new leader will emerge in the parliament.
Something tells me all this emanates because there is no internal party democracy within the parties.
Yes.
And I think this is one issue, as Leonard said, you will address the barrister and the politician here. We will address it. But let's quickly go to Uyo to join Ifoma. She is at the Akwa Ibom State Coalition Center to give us some updates there. Ifoma, over to you.
Thank you, studio, for having me. All is now set for the coalition of governorship results in Akwa Ibom State. Right here in the Coalition Center, civil society organizations, the political agents, the observers, coalition officers, electoral officers are all seated waiting for the state coalition officer and the resident electoral commissioner. While we are waiting for the coalition to start, let's feel the pulse of the people on their assessment of the election here in Akwa Ibom. Say, sir, you're one of the party agents. How did the election go here?
Yes, to God be the glory. I think for the very first time in the history of Akwa Ibom State, that all the coalition agents of all the political parties are being carried along by the resident electoral commissioner of Akwa Ibom State, Mr. Mike Igini. I think it has been the freest of all elections, the freest and the freest. Everything went fine, right from the polling unit. The materials were there before 8 o'clock, and people were even seated before that time. And by exact 8 a.m., election started. And throughout everywhere, it was peaceful. Most of us were calling Mike Igini to congratulate him, even from our different polling units. And now here we are. You can see the atmosphere is very cool. No exaggeration. Everybody are okay. So we thank God. And we thank Mike Igini and INEC. God bless them.
Thank you so much. We also have another party agent here. He will also assess the whole process in Akwa Ibom State.
Prince Joseph James Itiaba, I want to first and foremost thank INEC and the REC, the #1 umpire so far in the States, for exercising his integrity as a leader and also making an election in Akwa Ibom State extremely free and fair. I want to make bold to say that it has never happened since the inception of politics in Akwa Ibom State, where we have INEC being very free and transparent, just as we have experienced now. I believe in God that at the end of the day, the wishes of the people will manifest.
Thank you so much. Well, that is the situation here in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital. As soon as the coalition exercise starts, I will alert the studio. It's now back to you.
Informer, we thank you for that update. And one interesting development from you is the fact that those two party agents you spoke to appear to already to have positive assessment of the election. We hope they will have this positive assessment when the results are out. Brian.
Well, you see, the beauty of politics, or what I call the comedy of errors, is people as it is now, they will come and say, look, this is the best election, this, that, this and that. But by the time the result comes out, if it doesn't favor them, now they start crying foul. They say, wolf, why there's none. Now, elections, especially this one, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the freest and fairest elections, because the issue of traditional do-or-die politics is not there, and also ballot box snatching is minimized. Although globally, there's no election the world over where it is 100%. There must be pitfalls. But if you look comparatively, if you look at the country, look at it from 1999 to the present, you'll find out that at every step, the elections are improving. And I'm so happy to associate myself with what INEC has so far done. It has been fair, transparent, and people represented. I mean, it has the vote of the people matter. And therefore, I think it's a pass mark.
Yeah, Madam Minister, yes, what is the implication, or rather the implication of a situation where a party agent assesses an election prior to the release of results, but says something differently after the results are out?
Yes, normally it has to do with the disposition of ungentlemanly attitudes of our politicians. Representative represents the principle. If you are there as a party agent, you are there representing the political party. And normally, you sign the result sheets, whether at the polling level or at the local government level, at the ward level, and at the DC. So at the end, ultimately, for party to come and check against the results, look at from the Akwa Ibom experience. They are praising the exercise. They are saying that is the best they can get on this earth. At the end of it, when the result comes out, we pray they will sing the same tone. Otherwise, you will discover that at the end of it, the number of election petitions that will come out of this very one that they are all praising will be surprising, will be a shocker to you. They are now praising. But the moment it doesn't favor them, that comes to the issue of self, a character of Nigerian politicians which the learned talk about. Politics should be seen as a game of collective service for the redemption of humanity, for the upliftment of the sanctity of human life, for the upliftment of the society so that we develop to the level of the countries we are admiring.
Yeah, let's get the 96 comment. What is the implication? Yes. A situation whereby I'm referring to the learned sick now. A party agent signs a result sheet, which means ab initio, he agrees with the coalition. Then his party turns around to now say, no, they don't agree with that result.
Well, once your agent signs, the presumption is that, although rebuttable, it is agreeable to you.
Oh, it's rebutable?
It's rebuttable. For example, if evidence can be laid that your agent was bought over, or your agent has colluded, or your agent signed under duress, or whatever. But on the face of it, once your agent signs, it means that everything is normal, and the burden to prove otherwise is now with you, to show that it was not your true agent that signed, he was induced, he sold out, he betrayed you, and then, which is a very big task on you. But on the face of it, ordinarily, the presumption is that everything is fine, but it is reportable.
If not, you will have to bring facts to buttress the rebuttal.
You must have to bring facts that he sold out. I never knew that he's been seeing my opponent secretly, and this is the evidence. This is the amount of money they wired to his account. This is what he has promised them, telephone, text messages, and what have you. All manners of evidence can be laid to show that your own agent is not truly your agent, but agent of your opponent.
We will dwell largely on some legal issues in the electoral process when we come back. Now, for now, we are joining our Lagos network studio, while Bayo Adewusi appears ready to take on the continuation of Nigeria Decides discussions, analysis, and observations. Over to you, Bayo.
Muhammadu Kudu Abubakar, thank you very much in Abuja. The rest of Nigeria, hello and a warm welcome to the Lagos studio of Nigeria Decides from the Lagos Network Center. I am joined in the studio by two gentlemen to review what went down yesterday. We call it the morning after. To my right is Chief Festus Okorie, Public Relations Officer, Head Publicity, the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, Lagos Branch. And next to him is somebody who is becoming almost an in-house analyst. He's a lawyer and a human rights activist. Welcome, Barrister Nwazi. Well, gentlemen, as I said, we're taking a look at the morning after, particularly in Lagos, and from Lagos we'll go to other parts of the country. The role of party agents seems to be a sore point because you cast your votes at a particular unit. The polling agent attests to the figures. Later on, down the line, they are capable of changing their minds. So people are beginning to say, are some party agents compromised? What's your view, Chief Okorie?
Yeah, I think that happens most of the times, if not all of the times. But what I have to say here is the candidates should be wary and very careful in choosing or making appointment of who to be their party agents. Because there are professional party agents. What I mean by that, there are those who want to be party agents just for purpose of making money at that point where he is supposed to be relied upon to say the truth. He goes there and compromises. So that is the beginning of the problem.
Mr. Nwazi, what's your view? You did not participate in the last elections because you were busy here in the studios, but you also observed the way the election went. What are your views?
Let me go back to the question you posed earlier. You see, when I listened to the Len Silk in Abuja talking about where a party agent signs this sheet from the polling, it's a presumption of regularity. We are okay. But it's reportable. And he gave instances of how it can be reported. Of course, there are party agents that, for the sake of money or afterthought intentions, what I mean by afterthought is that though they are party agents to a particular party, subsequently they must have compromised in one way or the other. And so when they get there, of course, they can just sign whatever is there without actually verifying, allowing it to be verified what has been from the unit. That is one. Now, but let me cross over to the questions you just asked me. The elections, well, it was relatively peaceful. And peaceful is because we learned a lot of lessons from the presidential. And it was peaceful because of circumstances. What I mean by circumstances is that if you look at it, there were few voter turnout this time around. So it was easier for election to go smoothly for the card readers, for the presiding officers to coordinate. So it was very, very easy. So if you look at my area particularly, the elections went peaceful.
Okay, generally speaking, sir, it is agreed that the elections were peaceful, but there was a lot of voter apathy. And so some political scientists and observers are positing that if we had arranged these elections, the series of elections differently, if we had had the gubernatorial and House of Assembly elections before the presidential, do you think it would have made a substantial difference in terms of voter apathy? Dr. Amin Chief of Korea.
Yeah, I think if you allow me to say something, if you want me to make a choice, I would want the choice of somebody who will represent me in my home, from around my state first, before we talk about presidential. I think that is a pointer to the right direction.
Why do you say that?
Yeah. The index one can use to measure participation is at the level of the state, the level of local government. If one chooses the representative from the local government, you'll be able to take decision on who to choose at the state level. Then from state level, it goes to the federal level. This issue of bandwagon effect, when you have the presidential elections first, then every other person will now key in to, yes, this is likely to be the ruling party. Let us join in order to cut our own cake. That mentality should cease. If we reorder our elections to begin from the local government stage before the presidential, I think that should be a better thing to do.
David, do you share his view?
I share his view with some details, which I think we have learned from this recent election. I've always advocated on sundry fora that I think the grassroots election should come before the presidential, and that is manifested in the previous election. We saw factors that played out. For example, you were talking of voters' apathy. The contributory factor to the fact that we had presidential election first before the gubernatorial yesterday. And this caused one, if you look at it, some people just felt that people who traveled, sacrificially traveled to to vote. This time around, they could not. Why? Some of them, it was personal. One, they feel like, one, their vote won't count. Two, the violence which was feared from the presidential. Even though it didn't occur yesterday, there were not much violent cases. But that fear factor, there were people who sat in their house and said, let me just watch them. I want to go there and watch, see fights and all that. Now, particularly it's another factor which even the court that has gone to the courts. In 2015, the court said the army has no role when it comes to electoral processes. And we see some people coming out to say, let's add the soldiers to this electoral process. And we in Nigeria, we know the position of a soldier. We know the intellect, the mindset of a soldier in any gathering. Force. So that contributes substantially to the voter apathy which we witnessed just the previous day. Now, these are factors that played out overall that made voters to relax in their homes and say, let us watch what will happen. Now, coming back to specifically why I said the gubernatorial should come before the presidential. It will be very good that, like he said, it will serve as an index for me to weigh how the presidential election will be.